over the years and intend to enjoy in the future.
Well, if it's $100,000 margarita machine, I bet you are enjoying it and have enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's got to be
but
the biggest margarita machine in the history of margarita machines.
but the funny thing is my understanding is that the city of Bossier is not the only government entity that chips in to fund the superior margarita machine.
Oh, by the way, we are live, so remember our rule: no take backs.
Well, it's out there now. I
Yeah.
mean, thank you, Bossier City.
All right, so we've got several interesting topics, and of course, I'm checking my phone. I did get my Facebook notification, I got my YouTube notification, all that kind of good stuff. But we're we're going to talk about prostitution, which is not even on our list, bankruptcies, contracting scammers in the 26 JDC. Oh, and the city marshal getting his salary bumped up. I mean, this is going to be a great show.
Wait a minute. The city marshal got his salary bumped and prostitution. Hmm.
Yes. I'm not saying that those two things are related. I'm just saying that
Okay, well,
they're on the agenda to talk about.
I don't know, for whatever reason, those words and all how you said it, it connected a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I guess my
Yeah.
mind's in the gutter tonight. I don't
Or
know.
it's right out there with those $100,000 margarita machines that apparently we're going to talk about that too. So, oh,
Oh, and the Republican Party doesn't support election integrity, apparently, or
oh,
maybe they
really?
do.
Well,
I mean, it depends on what side of the river you're on.
oh yeah, y'all have one of those. What's that thing called? The Republican State Central Committee or something meetings.
Yeah. It's the governing body of the Republican Party of Louisiana, and
Mm.
you know, I had a little issue pertaining to secure elections and all. And some Republicans apparently they don't want to be able to audit our elections or have the ability to audit our elections. And then some Republicans do want to audit the elections. Yeah,
Really?
interesting thing.
Hmm. And you're telling me that the Republicans don't necessarily want to do that? I thought we were on board with all that.
Well, there's a lot of them that don't. I got to tell you.
Could be interesting. All right. And as far as our guests, Nick and Lindsey Peters, um, normally when we cover topics, they need to have some sort of political tie-in. For instance, we did cover a lot of First Bossier stuff, but that was kind of obvious with the whole Mike Johnson and the mayor and all that, basically campaigning from the pulpit situation. So this has a political tie-in because, well, it's our favorite courthouse up there, the 26 JDC. And we're going to have some interesting information about that.
And something else that, I think this case it's pertinent to people across the parish. Because I could see a lot of people finding themselves in the situation of the Peters, but a similar case, maybe I shouldn't say similar, it's different, but another case that's trudging along that is pertinent to people of Bossier Parish that they could find themselves in the exact same situation is the McCormick case. You remember that one,
Oh,
Rex?
yes, I do. I remember the McCormicks very well. And as a matter of fact, I was supposed to review those documents before the show, and I have failed to do that. Hopefully, you can give us a little bit of a summary about the status of that case.
Well, yeah, we'll come back to that, but
Okay.
that's a case that everybody in Bossier Parish needs to be paying attention to as well because Uh, if the government can do it to them, they dang sure can do it to the majority of you watching this show. And I'm not belittling the majority of you watching this show, but the McCormicks they're people who can take care of themselves. I'll just say it that way as respectfully as I can. And the majority of us are not in the situation that they're in and able to stand up against the machine like they can. And they're standing up, and it's made it all the way to the Louisiana Supreme Court.
Well, imagine that lawfare and the police jury this time. Hmm.
Yeah.
All
Anyway,
right. Well, shall we go ahead and do our little countdown and intro thing and come back out of it, and we'll get started with prostitution. How about that?
Yeah, something salacious. Prostitution always is going to win the day. Let's do that. Let's go to break and come back to prostitution.
All right, folks, y'all know the drill. We'll be back in about 2.5 or 3 minutes. Make sure and tag your friends, share the show out on your timelines or whatever, whatever method you're watching. Text some folks. Let everybody know we are on the air. You're going to learn something about contractors, prostitution, lawsuits, and bankruptcies. What other source of great information do you have like that in Bossier City? Here we go.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating. So I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. Oh, folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks.
Through conscious shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
More can't find anybody to share to.
Oh, well, see, I used my phone and I was able to share out to like 6 groups all at one time.
Yeah, well, you're a high achiever. What can I say? Hey, looks like Val Baker, Judy Stewart, some of the regulars, y'all are here. Glad you're here.
Yeah, looks like Miss Cassie's watching. Well, it looks like we've got a Mardi Gras thing going on because the crew of Centaur is watching as well. So always glad to see a wide assortment of folks watching.
The crew of Centaur is watching. Hey, guys. So, we were saying in the break that we were going to talk a little bit about the politics in Bossier. Mm-hmm. Crew of Centaur, did you know that it was this existing council that was all on board with the previous mayor about moving Mardi Gras out of Bossier City and not letting the parades come through Bossier?
Oh, it might have been some of those good old boys, those entrenched incumbents who you can't pry them out of there like a tick.
Yeah, I think they probably want your vote again, and they're up against the ropes. I mean, I'm just saying, if you like your Mardi Gras, and you might ought to remember that a little bit. I know some of the people that were the start of the Mardi Gras stuff here in Bossier, and I mean, they were just a griping about. I don't know. People are different, and we may all disagree or whatever. But I'm going to say it. Low Walker was one of the one. He was like, hey, get rid of the Mardi Gras parades out of Bossier. Let's get it. I remember when I was on the fire department, I enjoyed it. Working those, yeah. I actually enjoyed it. It was kind of crazy, changed things up. I don't know about the money. I mean, maybe it's not, in the best interest of Bossier. I find it hard to believe that it wasn't.
I find it hard to believe that it was not a good thing overall. I mean, I'm trying to think of the last one we went to. It's been, what, has it been 10, 15 years now? Something like that. Been a
Yeah,
long time. All
yeah,
right,
something like that. I don't know.
and y'all will have to forgive me. I'm in the middle of sucking on a cough drop and drinking water, the remnants of a sinus infection or whatever. Anyway, still battling that. So y'all forgive me if
All
I do a
right,
little hacking up of my lungs.
so it looks like Weston Marriott. We Weston, we hope your surgery goes good in the future. And I did want to give a little update. Miss Lowry had her staples taken out today.
Really?
Yeah, so she's improving. We appreciate all the prayers and especially to all the folks. I mean, there was a lot of people, Rex. I got to tell you, all my neighbors and people who are not my neighbors, Ruth Pope Johnson, a lot of different folks prepared like foods for us, like old school stuff. Like we're like, what do you have plans for meals tonight? We want to take care of you. I mean, man, I felt like I was like back in the 70s, when neighbors looked after neighbors and were preparing foods and all that. I didn't have the heart to tell people no. Can
Yeah,
you
I
believe
mean,
that?
these days, if you go knock on somebody's door, I mean, you're liable to get shot or get the police called on you from the Ring camera. I don't know. It's a different, seems like it's a different time period than it is now. Hey, I got a question though for you. So
Yeah.
you say Kara got her staples out today, right?
She got her staples out.
Did they have to use a pry bar? Because she's pretty hard headed now.
Well,
I couldn't
actually,
resist.
the truth is they had to call Shreveport Fire Department and get a Hearst tool to, hydraulically power them things out. I mean, that head was that hard. I mean,
We'll see her. We'll see the usual her swatting you in the back of the head any minute now. So.
yeah, it's incoming, no doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt.
All right. Well, glad to hear that. Glad to hear she is doing much, much better and well on the road to recovery.
All right, so on to good stuff. Let's talk about prostitution. I want to hear about it.
I almost can't say
So,
this without laughing.
so what was your experience with some prostitution?
Well, fortunately, I've not had any business experience with prostitution.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Well, then I misunderstood. I mean, I understood a blogger had some experience with prostitution, according to one of the news media outlets. I was just assuming
well,
maybe it was my co-host.
no, it wasn't me this time. So apparently, our good friend, John Settle, Mr. Zamboni himself, getting run over by the Zamboni, has apparently been arrested again. Of course, it was all over the news and played up in the news and social media, and people have asked us and asked us about it, so we can't exactly ignore it. But the funniest thing about all this to me is the fact that, well, number one, it's the second time, but number two, people thought it was Colonel Sanders, or they thought he was the guy from Jurassic Park. The John Hammond's guy that started Jurassic Park. He looks just like him.
Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
What the heck are you talking about? I don't.
John Settle, especially with his hat on, looks just like the guy from Jurassic Park. Hold on, I'm going to show you. Hold on, give me just a second. Let me switch screens here. I'm going to put up these two screens, and look, folks, y'all tell me. I mean, he very well could have been the guy from Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
See, there's a striking resemblance.
I see the similarity. So, I mean, he's got dinosaurs on an island somewhere.
Maybe so. Maybe that's where he got the money to buy the Inquisitor. I don't know.
Well,
Anyway,
look, John Settle. I hate to say this, but he is an institution of old Northwest Louisiana. I mean, a lot of people may not know their history of Bossier and the Bossier Strip. And at one time, I mean, this wouldn't even have made news.
right.
Wouldn't even have made news.
Well, and look, if the Zamboni had actually run over Settle, from Charles Jacobs and Queen Monty fame when they swore they wanted to run over him with the Zamboni, then this wouldn't be news either if the Zamboni had actually got him.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody knows John Settle, they know that he is he's he's not a regular guy. He's a different bird.
Right.
Um I mean, what was it? He showed up at Shreveport City Council meetings. What was it in a
Some kind of
cl-
costume or something.
clown costume or something of that nature?
Yeah,
I mean, and
and look, he's been covering, Shreveport and Bossier politics for a long time. He's got a blog. He bought the Inquisitor from Danny Lawler and that sort of thing. So, look, it's news. We have to talk about it because Settle, we've highlighted him many times. He's a friend of both of ours and all that. Other than that, honestly, I don't really care.
I don't care either. What he does on his I mean, if he's not like eating kids or selling them drugs or doing crazy crap like that, I mean, I don't care what he does. I mean, if like you said, I think in our conversation we was talking about this before the show, if he goes to Nevada, he wouldn't
Yeah.
have any problems.
Yeah.
I mean, but his only problem is he's doing it in a state that it's not legal. And
Yep.
I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that morally I agree with it, but I'm at the same time I'm not going to be his judge. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Look,
I'm
I,
not going to do it.
I'm not condoning any of the sex trafficking and all that sort of thing that goes on and the underpinnings of the bad prostitution and all that. But in my opinion, if it's between two consenting adults, fine. It's not legal in Louisiana though, so yeah, maybe the plane tickets out to Nevada or to Vegas would be a little cheaper on him. All right, so
Yeah, I
that
don't know on that one.
that ends that, but we had to talk about it because enough people were pestering us about it. All right, shall we?
Dee White Clark said it best. She should be doing the show. She said his arrest doesn't change the truth he was telling.
Yes, do not let that distract you from the truthful information that he does blog about many times.
Well,
All right.
it that reminds me of it's almost like a fishing case.
Yes, and we are going to be talking about that before too long. So hold on a second. We got a little feedback there. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that before too long. I just don't have all the notes together, and we'll have a special guest on for that. Let's just say.
So, Rex, there's this story that's been brewing, and I think it made it on some of the mainstream media. And there's a story been brewing out in Halton, and I hate to say it, but it's a story I've heard before. A story of a contractor and building a house and money getting sideways, and the people who are building the house getting stiffed, and we have it again, but this time this story has a little bit of a, we don't normally cover those type things, but
No,
this
we don't.
story it has a political tie-in, I think.
Well, it does. And, just to refresh everybody, our general guiding rule is we only cover, we don't go out ambulance chasing or anything like that. We cover the stuff that has some sort of political tie in. It needs to be tied to politics. And in this case, it does. And we're going to talk about that some, but it really relates to the 26 JDC and some delays there, but we'll let our guest tell us about it. So, how about we go ahead and bring them on?
I think that would be a good
All
move.
right, let me see. Let me click this button and let me click this button. All right, Nick, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right, Miss Lindsey, can you hear us?
I can.
All right, we have both of you. Okay, well, welcome to the show. And remember the rule, this is live, no takebacks. All right?
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so to a lot of folks watching our show, I mean, sometimes the stories, and I mean, this story is a story that I think you're going to hear. It's a story that could happen to any of you guys. It's important that you listen. This is a life experience that's happening right now for the Peters, and they're going to tell you their story, and you would be wise to listen and learn from their story so that you don't suffer the same pitfalls that they have come to learn. So, Rex, I'll just go ahead and prompt Nick and Lindsay. Guys, y'all tell us the story I mean, what are we talking about here? You guys, as I understand it, you set out to build a house. Tell us how this thing got wound up and what's the problem. Y'all lay the story out here.
Go ahead, Lindsey.
Well, I thought you were going to start. Okay. So, Nick, give me the timeline. When did we start building the house? He's better with the dates.
So we actually talked to this builder for approximately about a year before we ever signed a contract. And so we signed the contract in March of 2023.
Okay.
And the construction started sometime in May. And so we're rocking along, and I'm working in Memphis at this time. So I think that's a very important part of this, because had I not been working in Memphis, I don't think any of this would have happened, because I would have been at the job site. I would have been watching what was going on. But that's where my job was at the time. I was coming home every other weekend. And so September of 2023 rolls around, and we get this letter. And it's this long sob story. Email. The letter came through an email. And it was a long sob story of why he was quitting and how his ex-wife took advantage of him and all these lawsuits that he was in. And so once we received the letter, we tried to make contact with him. Well, he had shut everything off. He had shut off his phone. He had shut off his Facebook business page, his email, everything. And so at that time we were like, what do we do? You know, we've never been in a situation like this. And something else too. My wife had a pregnancy, and so we had a baby that she was caring for. And so she wasn't always able to go out and see what was going on. And he took advantage of that. I mean, it's very clear to me. He took advantage of that. He knew I worked out of town. He knew Lindsey was at home caring for the baby.
Property
And we
was tucked way back too, so no one would ever know.
Right. So the property is secluded. So, you know, Lindsey would go there to feed our horse and care for our cattle. And but it was always at night in the dark, and couldn't really see what was going on. But we know for sure he took advantage of that situation. It's obvious. But so after receiving this letter, you know, I was able to get a list of all the subcontractors from the project manager, and I started making phone calls. And that's when I found that a lot of people weren't paid. And so that's when we got the Bossier Sheriff's Office involved. And then obviously the investigator started investigating it, and it happened pretty quick, you know. But I had done a lot of the legwork for the detective already, because here we are. We don't know what's going to happen. We've over 230,000 was withdrawn from the interim construction account, and so I wanted to know where the money was. You know, and part of the reason why I'm not in Memphis right now is because of all this crap. You know,
So you guys went. You set out to build a house. You got a builder. You went and secured financing, and you started going down the road of getting this done, only to learn that at some point in the process that there's a lot more draws been made than what work has been done on the project. Is
that's
that
correct.
correct? Okay.
That's correct. But you know, I also learned in September when we got the email that there was never a permit taken out to even start the construction. And I also learned by talking to the state of Louisiana, the State Board for Contractors, that his general liability insurance and his workman's comp lapsed. Which, let me tell you guys, for everybody that's watching this, there is no process in place with the state of Louisiana, with the State Board for Contractors. I have a call set up Thursday to speak with the executive director for the State Board for Contractors. But right now, there is no process in place that actually notifies the state that your insurance has lapsed. And what's crazy is we all know that if you fail to pay your premiums with your car insurance, they're going to notify everybody.
Oh yeah, it goes to the DMV immediately or pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. So you would think if the State Board for Contractors requires a license, and part of having that license is to have general liability insurance and workman's compensation, you would think that they would take this a heck of a lot more seriously than they do. So what I'm saying is there's no process to flag his license. The only way that the state finds out if the general liability insurance or the workman's compensation has lapsed is if somebody turns them in, or they go to renew their license, or on an initial application. Otherwise, there's no process. So really, you could get on the website, the State Board for Contractors website, and you could search up the contractor that you want to do business with, and it'll say that the license is valid. However,
so we found that out in September.
Yeah, we found that out. So his insurance policies, workman's comp and general liability insurance, actually lapsed in February of 2023. We signed the contract in March, so therefore he doesn't have a license. Technically,
he didn't have a license when y'all signed the contract with him.
That is correct.
He did. It was active because nobody notified them.
Okay, let's back up for just a second, because I've got a question so far. How did y'all meet this guy? Or how did y'all get in touch with this particular contractor? What's his name? Justin Penn with Creed Contracting. How did y'all find out about him?
We
Unfortunately,
started
Facebook.
wanting to build a barn dominium. That's how I think we found him, because there's not a lot of people that will build like a shop house.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we Googled, we found that he was in a magazine.
Right, right. So, that's how that started. And, the reason why we didn't go the barndominium route is a lot of banks won't approve those type of construction loans. And also, there's certain insurance companies that won't insure the house. So we ended up going with a stick build. Of course, we still wanted metal on the outside of it for it to look like a barndominium, but we went with the stick build option. So, but yeah, that's how we met him, and he was part of the parade of homes too. He built some beautiful homes. There's some beautiful homes that he built prior to him getting into divorce and whatever else happened. We don't know all the ins and outs of that. And honestly, I really don't care. I care about what he's done to us and what he's done to other families, because we're not the only family. That email that I spoke of earlier, two other families received that same letter, and a bunch of subcontractors. So all he did was change the name at the top of the letter and sent us this email. And everybody got it. There's a family in Marshal, Texas. There was a family in DeSoto Parish. I can tell you the family in DeSoto Parish, they've already gotten restitution. He's a convicted felon right now in DeSoto Parish. He has been arrested in Marshal, Texas. But that case is still ongoing. So when we talk about the 26th Judicial Court, here's what I want to know. What in the world is going on here? How can DeSoto get a conviction and he was arrested 1 month later than he was arrested in Bossier Parish?
Yeah, so let's...
What the hell is taking so long is what we don't understand. Ray Charles could see this with Stevie Wonder's glasses. This is black and white. I don't understand what else do we need to do to get somebody's attention. And that's the whole reason why I want to be on this show is I want to get somebody's attention to freaking do something.
All right, so let's be clear though.
All right, I'm very passionate about this, and I'm pissed off because every time I talk about it, I think about my wife and kids, and having to tell my 14-year-old daughter and my 12-year-old daughter why we can't move to the property, why we had to give the property away, why they can't feed their horse, and why they can't go out there and take care of their cattle. That's hard to do. Nobody will ever understand the agony and the pain that me as a father has to go through to tell them that.
All right, so back it up, dude.
Well, so I mean, and I apologize for having to step back a little bit and break this down a little bit further. So in totality, what happened to you was you started down the road of building this house. You had a builder, and this builder took draws on building this property, and he didn't do the work that he took the draws on, correct?
That's correct.
And so the project kept trudging along, and I'm trying to think of how to ask this question, but there was no accountability, not from the state, from a licensing standpoint, and from other aspects. There was a total lack of accountability, and this was a builder that took advantage of a situation. And then you get to the legal process, and you've got the legal system that is failing you guys in that they're not taking any action. Is that what I'm understanding correctly? Am I laying that out right? Am I breaking it down for people?
No, you
Let
are.
me just say this, because I see the comments. Someone asked or said that they should bring on charges. There's charges. Don't worry. There's charges. It's just that we cannot get further than that. He's been charged, but there's reset after reset after reset after reset. This has been going on for 14 months. So that's where we're at. Yes, there's charges, but he's still walking around. He wants to go to trial. He won't take a plea deal. So that's where we're at. We're just resetting over and over and over and over.
All right, so let me ask this. Is it because of the DA's office and the 26 JDC that's causing the delays? In other words, take us from the point of the sheriff's department becomes involved in this investigation and then move that forward to the first court date. Walk us through that part of the timeline, please.
So let me answer that for you. So the first ADA that we had, she was promoted to a judge. And so then it fell on to another ADA. And we don't know what happened. We didn't hear anything until the summertime. Well, by that time, I was mad and pissed off because here we are, all this time has gone by, and we don't hear anything, and nothing's happening. So, long story short, we got Andrew Jacobs. And let me just break it down for everybody on this watching. That man has done everything that he said he was going to do. Everything that he said he was going to do. So if you're watching, Andrew Jacobs, we appreciate everything that you've done. I don't have a bad.
Because the person before him did not do what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, and Andrew Jacobs knows how I feel about that guy. He didn't do a damn thing. He basically sat on his ass, and excuse my language, for 4 or 5 months. Okay, Andrew Jacobs gets involved, and he's done a hell of a job. He's basically having to reinvestigate this because there was a lot of things that he didn't have. There was a lot of pieces to this puzzle that he didn't have that I've been feeding him. But he has done a great job, and I want to thank the Bossier DA's office for him handling the things the way that he's handled it. But as far as all this resetting stuff, look, I didn't realize all this until we started with this whole legal battle. But let me just sum it up like this. Attorneys want to get paid. attorneys are going to drag it out as long as they can because their client is paying them billable hours. So what's the incentive for the attorney to hurry up and wrap this up? None. Zero. There's zero incentive for any attorney to wrap up any case in a short amount of time. They're going to drag it out. They're going to delay it, stall it, whatever they can. Motion this, motion that. That's their job. Their job is to stall it as long as they can. At some point, the court has to do something about it. I mean, there shouldn't be all these resets, especially
in the midst of these resets, we've lost the house. It's gone. So every day that goes by, we're further victimized.
All right, so let me ask you this, and maybe it's just the irony of the situation, but obviously the defendant, the contractor, Creed Contracting or whatever, he's able to hire a lawyer. It's getting delayed, which, like you're saying, is running up the billable hours for the attorneys. I mean, isn't that a little crazy that he's able to afford the attorney, but he can't somehow make restitution to some of, to y'all and these other families?
Exactly. Well, his civil attorney dropped him. So John Hader was his civil attorney. He dropped him. He's no longer representing him.
He could afford to pay. He just doesn't want to pay. He wants to go to trial. He's made that very clear. He wants to go to trial.
Which we don't understand. Why roll the dice? Why gamble with your future? He's going to go to prison.
So it makes you question everybody around.
Yeah.
It's very odd that he would want to go to trial for a financial crime.
All right. So let's be clear to the audience, though. He did complete at least some of the construction of the new house. Is that correct?
When he quit, it was framed up and had decking on it, and there were a few wires hung in there, which he hired an unlicensed electrician to do that.
Okay.
And he had no permit. The permit was denied, but he continued to work on the house.
All right. So
but let me bring something up, dude,
go ahead.
because I think this is important. The parish permitter knew about this guy because he did. I don't know if you folks watched the first KTBS episode of the first story that they ran, but there was another family on there, the King family. And that family also had no permit to start their project. And so Jimbo Davlin knew about it. I'm just put his name out there. He knew about this guy. So did the state inspector. They knew about him. Why wasn't anything done then? Why was it allowed to happen again and to us? That's the question. That's the question that I want to know.
And that's part of the deal that we have as far as what we call the political tie-in is, number one, what's causing the judicial delay? And then number two, I read some of those emails that you forwarded with the state licensing board, and it was surprising to me that, like you said earlier, it just seemed from those emails that there is a lack of accountability or transparency with some of these contractors that folks need to be aware of when you're watching this. So let me ask you this. So let's shift from the court battle for a second.
I also want to plug in here too. You said that people know who these people are, and I think you were suggesting people with the Bossier Parish Police Jury. That would be the group, and people with the state. They know these people. Was that what you were saying?
I'm talking about the parish permitter, which is a third party company. It's a third party company that he owns. Jimbo Davlin owns the company, third party. The Bossier Parish Police Jury hired his company to not only do the permitting, the inspections in Bossier Parish, but he also does it in DeSoto as well. So he was also aware of Justin's shenanigans in DeSoto Parish.
and still having knowledge of what had transpired in other places with this builder, still allowed the builder to proceed and go forward with you guys, probably or possibly even knowing that maybe he wasn't even licensed anymore with with the state.
I know that when he did not get a permit for the King family when he was building their home, the state, the guy in our local area, he was aware of it, and so was Jimbo Davlin. Why wasn't there a violation put on his? Why wasn't a violation done at that time? If you go, because when you search under Creed Contracting, there was never a violation. I'm sorry, but if you start a bill with no permit, that's violating the policies and the procedures. Am I correct?
Well, I'm no lawyer except on Facebook, but it sounds like it to me.
Let me just say this. A lot of people fail to do their job. That's the whole reason why we're in this situation to begin with. People need to be held accountable. Period.
During the build, we heard nothing. When it was over and the letter came out and we started calling people, they were like, "Oh yeah, we've had problems with him before." You know, like, "Oh, well, that's wonderful. Why didn't you tell us before now?" Like, we found a whole lot out after we got the letter.
All right, but let me interject something. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say this last part, okay? I don't mean to cut you off, but this is also important. A permit was applied for in June. It was denied. Do you think anybody from that office went out there to the address to see if any construction had been taking place? No.
Not one.
Not one time.
Wait a minute.
All they had to do was just drive by there when the permit was applied for.
Who denied the permit?
Jimbo Davlin.
Why
didn't somebody from that office go there?
Jimbo Davlin, that is subcontracted by the police jury, correct?
That's correct.
And he's the one that dropped the ball.
If you want to say it like
on
that,
a lot of people dropped the ball. He's just the one that dropped that ball.
I'm not here to say who's right or wrong. What I'm here to say is, here's what happened. You tell me. So think about it like this. A permit was applied for. It was denied for all these reasons. The plan, they couldn't read the plan right. The windows weren't apparently high enough for emergency exit and all this crap, right? Yet, not one person from that office went to the property. All they had to do is go to the property. They would have seen he done already started. Had that happened, it would have shut him down right then and there. Boom. And nothing else would have happened.
All right,
no more work would have been taken.
I got to play devil's advocate because people are going to ask us about this. Okay. Now, you explained that, y'all had done some research on this guy or whatever, but at what point did the red flags go up to y'all that was something, if there was something wrong or something going on? At what point did y'all know that the permit had been rejected and all that sort of thing?
We never knew about it. We didn't know about it until September after we received the email and I started making all these calls. Okay. Once I started finding out that he didn't pay this person, didn't pay that person, then I called the permit office to see had there even been a permit issued. And that's when I found that out. Then I contacted the state, and that's when I found out that he didn't have general liability insurance or workman's compensation.
Okay, got you. Just wanted to make sure that was clear to everybody watching. So, all right. Now, take us to the point of, I believe you said the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office was involved in the investigation. Take us from that point to it gets to the DA's office, and when were the first charges filed or whatever against this fellow?
Charges were filed in November for contractor fraud, bank fraud, and felony theft.
Okay. And how many times has the case been continued or delayed, or what has been the delay?
Well,
Because from November to
wait a
now
minute.
is not that long of a time frame.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
look,
not that long.
anybody has access to Clerk Connect. You can go on there. It's $50 a month, or you can pay the yearly fee.
Hold on.
You can go on there and see.
It was November of 2023.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Lindsey. Thank you for
November
correcting me.
2023.
Yes.
Okay, so this is
So
not
we've
this
gone
past
a whole
November.
year
Okay.
and some months with this mess.
Okay, that's
And
what I
so-
want to make sure I was clear about.
So anybody can go on Clerk Connect and you can read about all of this. It's all public information, okay? And you can read the minutes. And the minutes just say reset at council's request, reset at council's request, reset at for no apparent reason. What's the reason? This is what I got upset about. When is the ADA going to say enough's enough? You know, we're not going to continue to reset this.
Well, I can
I
just
don't
tell
think
you,
it's up to the ADA. I think it's the judge.
the judge has to sign off on that. And here's the deal. And I can tell you from, and Duke and I were talking about at the very beginning of the show before we brought you on, but we're going to share some details of a case that just went on, not with contractor fraud or anything else, but it was just reset after reset. Then one of the judges, passed away, Judge Pittard, Lane Pittard, and that is an excusable delay. But then it got delayed, I don't know, multiple times after that. And so this seems to be like, to me, and I'm not accusing the entire 26 JDC and all the judges, but let me ask you this. Was it the same? Has the same judge been on the case the entire time?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And so the same judge has been signing off on a continuance or delay or reset or whatever legal term. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Yes.
Have y'all been in the courtroom in any of these hearings to hear any justification from the DA's office or from the defense attorney's office or from the judge?
I started going I started going in August 26th. I went to court, and I've been to every single court date after that. It was August 26th, November 26th, January 10th, and trial was supposed to start in February the 3rd. Reset. Now it's pushed back to April. I don't know, April 7th or something like that.
All right. And these
This last one that we just had a few days ago, they gave a reason. Before, it was just because Justin requested it, because, whatever Justin wants, that's what everybody does. But this last one was because his attorney she said she needed some extra time to look at some stuff that was submitted the day before, and she was waiting on the judge to let her know if there could be a change of venue. So now we gotta wait another month to see if they want to change the venue and look at some paperwork. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right, and this is the criminal case, which would be the DA's office versus the defendant, which is the contractor, correct? This is not a civil case. This is a criminal case, correct?
Right. So the civil case is still there, but it's kind of on hold right now because we need the criminal case to come through. That's our best path to get restitution is through the criminal case.
So I'm sorry to be the guy to have to back up a little bit, and I want to back up and break this down for everybody watching, because I'm trying to relate this to folks of how this could happen to you and how you could find yourself in the same situation as what the Peters are in. They set out to build a house for themselves, and they found a builder. They got their financing. Construction began, and then it went sideways. Their builder started doing some things that I'm going to say were unethical or didn't do what he said he was going to do, is the way I'm perceiving this. It turns out it was discovered that things weren't going the way they were supposed to be going. Law enforcement got involved. Charges were filed. Arrests were made. And then the legal proceedings began. And then, the legal proceedings drug and are still dragging and all the while it's milking you, the people who all you wanted was to build a house. It's milking your money slowly over time. It's tearing you down, tearing your finances down. It's tearing you apart. And the things that should be in place to protect people like you, everyday citizens, which is the government, the government should be there, able to provide accountability at the state level and even at the local level. You've not gotten any of that. That's not happening. The wheels are turning slow, and the wheels aren't grinding the person who's caused the problems. The wheels are grinding you, the victims. Is that about right?
Yes.
A summation?
Yeah, you're right. And let me say this: I'm so sick of people saying, "No, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is." BS. Stop. We're dragging people along. It shouldn't be that way. That's exactly right. Why do you have to drag it out? Why can't something be done? Because they delayed. The bank said, "The hell with it. We lost the property. It's gone." They were tired of waiting too, and I don't blame them. I mean, I understand. It's business. It ain't personal. It's business. They said, "Hell, we're never going to get our money, so forget it. We'll just foreclose on the property." And like I said, it's not personal. It's business. They got to protect their asset. I get it. So that's what happened. So,
but yes, we're continually victimized.
All right.
The ADA before Andrew Jacobs knew this because I got all over his ass in that courtroom the day in August that he let him reset again after we had already had a meeting. And I told him, I said, "Do not let this happen. Do you understand what's at stake here? Do you understand what's at stake here?" We had a conversation after conversation. I made it very crystal clear to him that that's what was going to happen. And what happened? It's gone. We lost the property. So now we have to sit back and wait for the court to do its deal. But I want to go back to all these people say, "Oh, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is." It's got to stop. Something has got to give here.
All right, so let's shift gears for a second because I want to get into this. I guess it was an anonymous letter that y'all received. And folks, for everybody watching, and we've got well over 120 some odd people across all the platforms watching right now. So this is where, aside from the judicial issues and delays, this is where this case or this process takes an interesting turn. So I'm going to switch screens here, and Lindsey, I know you're coming in from phone call, so you can't see it. And for those of you watching, I'll kind of read this letter. But this is an anonymous letter y'all received. Is that correct, Nick?
Yes, sir. That's correct. We received this letter in our mailbox. Woke up on a Thursday morning, went out and checked the mail, and this was in the mailbox.
All right, so the letter says, "Mr. and Mrs. Peters, I hope you're doing well considering everything you both have been through over the course of the past few years dealing with the house builder. I wish to remain anonymous, but will give you a little information about me. I work with a group of leaders in Bossier Parish. The court case you both are fighting in Bossier Parish dealing with the builder and the bank will not go in the favor you want. The case is already lost. The bank will take possession of the land and house, and the builder will not be charged in Bossier Parish. And if he does, it will be pled down to a misdemeanors. I will tell you why." So the letter goes on to say, "There's a very wealthy and important citizen in Houghton, Louisiana that wants the property that's in litigation. Mr. L. Beatty has secretly made it known to the DA's office to drag this case out so he can buy the property from under. Have you been wondering why it's always a continuance? You both do not have the capital to keep fighting this, but what you do have is access to social media and the local news outlets. Let that fight for what you deserve and what is right." Now, full disclosure, we have no idea if there's a Mr. L. Beatty that secretly made anything known to the DA's office, but this is the letter that y'all received, correct?
That's correct. And we're not saying there is either. We don't know, but we were just as shocked as everybody else that we received this letter. So since that letter has
At
come
the
out,
time, we didn't think too much of it because we had not gotten this far. But now, and even today, when I read it, I think, wow, that's exactly what happened, minus the person that they name. Like, we lost the house. And, I mean, the builder's been charged, but here we are, reset. And it makes me wonder, will it be pled down to a misdemeanor? You know, like, I just hope this letter's not true. We have no idea where it came from. We don't know if it's true, but it's just very odd that we would get this. We didn't think too much of it. Well,
let me say this. Is the builder in jail?
No, sir.
No.
He bonded out in November of 2023.
That's right. So he might have stayed in jail a week, a few days, a week at the most.
Oh,
probably not even that.
an hour or two. He was out.
Yeah. So, you know, you guys, you bought property, you built stuff on it. You went to get a loan to build a house. A builder went to build a house that you contracted with him to do. He did it and wasn't even licensed to do what he did. And he's walking around free with no consequence as it stands right now. You guys are out totally. And this same scenario could happen to any of the, you know, there's pushing 120, 130 folks watching the show right now live. This could happen to any of you guys. You would not know any difference unless you say, what could people that were in your situation at the time, y'all play devil's advocate. What could you have done? Would you have thought to call the state to verify that it was licensed or not? I mean,
well, I say that all the time. Like, looking back, we'd never bought a house before. So, I mean, Nick probably knew a little more about building than I did. I don't know anything about all that. But had I known what I know now, yeah, looking back, I would have, number one, called to make sure the license was active. Number two, called to make sure the insurance was active. Number three, called to make sure he had a permit. And that right there would have stopped us immediately because he didn't have insurance. And then the licensing board would have known, and then we never go any further. No dollar would have been given out. But then even if those were right, the permit, I would have called to make sure that the permit was right. You know, that it was, what do you call it? Granted or given or whatever, accepted. And even if that was good, the inspector, there was an inspector that came out once in a while from the lender that inspected the property. I probably would have hired my own just for extra, just to make sure. And Nick, of course, probably would say that he would have been living here and working here and not out of town. But, you know, looking back, there's a lot of things like that. I would have done so many things myself, but I just never dreamed in a million years that these kinds of things that are put in place would just be, you know, passed right up. I don't know how to put it. Like, I don't know how to say it.
Well, I would say that, you know, you guys were counting on, you know, people to do right. People didn't do right, and you suffered the consequence because you didn't do the job that they were supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, that's the nature, I hate to say this, of real estate. And, you know, that there's a lot of people out there that they don't do their jobs. They're quick to take the money, but they don't do their jobs. And now you're embroiled in the second part of this equation, which is the legal part. And in the legal part, you have people who are feeding off of the process the same. And, you know, look, we all know that the good old boy system exists. Nobody denies that it doesn't exist. It does exist. And, you know, this thing about somebody secretly making a deal to want to get your property or not, I don't know.
It's a possibility given some history.
All right, so
Dude,
but
this. Let me say this. Not long after that letter came out, the owner of the property, the 20-acre tract next to us, along with it's total 140 acres. It's up for sale
Who
now.
owns the property adjoining you?
Lynn Beatty.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I've got the screenshot queued up from the text message. Do you want me to show that before I hit the button? Nick and Lindsey.
What's the text message of?
That's the one from about receiving several screenshots from friends of a Facebook post. Are they aware of that one, Duke?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of unrelated, I think, to where we're talking about now. But the significance of that that screenshot is the Beatties that we're talking about and that are in question here. Travis Beatty, at one time, as I understand it, was the chairman of the Metropolitan Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. So, Duke,
Is that right, Peters, Lindsey, or Nick?
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of unrelated, Rex, but I think there was someone was making a post. So Rex, for the people in Bossier City that are watching the show, and as you recall, the townhouses that were proposed to be going in off of Stockwell Road, and you remember there was a lot of folks in that neighborhood that were opposed, and there was a link trying to be made to the Beatties on that, and I think that is unrelated, but there was criticism of the Beatties regarding that. Travis Beatty was the chairman of that, and I think that was unfounded. But they were talking about that townhouse thing, to which while he was the chairman, that was delayed or not voted on or any action taken on it. And I think he has since resigned from that position, and Travis Beatty is no longer a part of that. Am I correct?
From what we understand, yes. But I just want to make this clear.
In a while, but yeah, we saw that shortly after.
We are by no means blaming anyone from the Beatty family. We just received this letter, and
it
want
doesn't matter
anybody.
if it's Mickey Mouse. I mean,
yeah, we
either
just
way,
want,
it's wrong.
We want people to be put yourself in our shoes. You received this letter. The resets are happening, and then all of a sudden, once this letter is released, now the 140 acres surrounding us is up for sale. Just seems kind of sketchy.
Okay. Odd timing.
As in maybe there was some kind of deal set up with the bank.
I don't know. I don't care. I just care about the criminal court stuff, and it needs to happen.
Honestly, I don't care at this point. We've lost the property. It's gone. I see a lot of people asking or saying foreclosure. Look, let me just make it clear to everybody watching.
You'll just have to look that up.
Get on Clerk Connect. It's public knowledge.
You'll just have to look it up.
My wife and I, we cannot say anything about the bank. We can't talk about them. We can't talk about any of the officers. Trust me, we want to. We want to. We want to tell the whole thing, but we can't. We cannot tell you what's going on.
Not really. At this
point, I will tell you this.
Again, the house is gone. It's time for criminal consequences.
Yeah. So
do you guys think that? I mean, is there? Y'all kind of had a lot of money put in this thing. You've suffered a lot. You've lost a lot. I mean, this builder guy, I mean, he cost you a lot of money. Can he make restitution in any way to you guys to get you out of this thing? And
no, and
he can't.
I would like to
make the restitution, but Mama McFerrin can. Karen McFerrin can make the restitution. She's the one that wrote the check in DeSoto Parish for several $100,000 to the other family. So yeah, restitution can be made. You can go take out a mortgage on your property. There's ways to keep your boy out of jail. Just pay us the damn money. pay us the money so we can move on with our lives. It's exactly what I said the other day, talking to Gabrielle Parrish, who's with KTBS. Just pay us the money. We want to move on from this. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of thinking about it. And I want the courts to do something about it.
Duke, let me say this though. He said, he brought up a good point that we lost the property and we lost what we put into it. Let me just say this. So we paid cash for that property a year before we ever did anything. We cleared the land ourselves. We did a fence ourselves. We put in the water well ourselves. This is long before going to a bank, to a lender, to any of that. Okay. This was just at the time we were going to put our cattle on there. We weren't even going to build yet. So we developed this land out of our own pocket and did the fence. Then we had our family. We built a barn by ours and our family's own hands, nail by nail and board by board. And that barn meant a lot to me. And I really try not to cry or get emotional, but there had been some family reconciliation in my family, and we came together after that and built this barn. So it has a lot of emotional meaning to me. And everything about the property does, and that was our farm, and we had our animals. So we didn't just lose money. We lost a lot of time. We lost memories. We lost emotional attachments. We've lost a lot. And every day that goes by, we're continually victimized. Every day that they reset it, it's like another stab in the back. It's like, do something. Enough is enough. You have hurt us to the core. To the core. It is time to get off of your ass and do something. We can't do it. The only people that can do it is the court system, and they need to do it.
The bank is going to finish the house, and somebody else is going to be able to share the memories that we were supposed to share as a family. Use the barn that we built as a family. And
no amount of restitution can make up for that, is where I'm going with that. There's just, we've lost things that can never be bought.
We put in over $100,000 of our own money. $100,000 of our own money we put into that place. We bought the property for $53,000. We improved that property, and when it appraised for $346,000 just for the land. That didn't happen by just clearing it. That happened because of what we did out there. And it's gone. It's all gone. And now, just so everybody knows, I have until February 17th to have my cattle out of there and my horse. So I still have to go there every night and see that house and see that barn as I try to find a place to take my cattle and my horse. Trying to find a pasture now to lease.
And we were hoping explaining all that to your kids. Try explaining to them that someone stole all that from them, and they're taught at school you don't steal. They're taught at church you don't steal. There's consequences for when you have bad behavior, right? Everywhere you are. They go through the DARE program, which is not, it's drugs and all that, but still, they're taught all of these things only to find out that this can be done to them, and there's been no consequences. How do you explain that to a kid? It's so frustrating.
It's mind-boggling. It's not right. And like I said, we just want something to be done. We want somebody to care enough about us to do something.
At the courthouse.
Right. Well, and look, we can only hope. We can't imagine what you guys are going through and your whole family. And we can only hope that even though the 26 JDC, the wheels are turning excruciatingly slowly again, we can only hope that eventually, the right things will happen and they'll be able to get this guy to make restitution to y'all and anybody else that's been affected by this. The the one thing we can
The
do to help is give
Rex,
you a platform and let you get your story, or help you get your
We
story out with the
appreciate that.
news media.
that's all we can do. And for me, the moral of the story to the public and, to the 130 people watching right now, and, to those of you that'll watch after this show, is the bottom line is you can't count on your government to look out for you. The police
Correct.
jury failed in their, person that's supposed to be doing their job. They failed. They didn't look out for the Peters. The state wasn't doing their job. They didn't look out for the Peters. And the legal community, the legal community has not provided justice for the Peters, not in a timely fashion, not before that they're broke. I mean, the legal process has broke them. There should have been, quick justice, and there has not been. The system is built to reward the corrupt. I'm sorry, and that's why we started the show. Nick and Lindsey, y'all don't know us from Adam, but we started this show right here to talk about and to highlight subjects like this within our government. We believe that things at the local government, that's what you have to fix first before you can even move on to the bigger things. If you can fix them on the small local level, you can fix them on the big level. And we've got problems here, and you guys are an example of problems that we have here locally because the system has squashed you like a bug. And it could be anybody in our community, and your experience is a lesson for all of them to take note of, that they could be next.
Absolutely.
Correct. And we hope that the licensing board will change. We're working with them right now to change their policy, that they are notified by insurance companies, hopefully, and they can change the way that they report that.
Well, it's funny that after when I spoke to a lady down there, her name is Tara Rivette, I spoke to her. She said in their last board meeting that they're changing their policy because of what happened to us. So again, at our expense, now you want to change the policy. How about it should have always been in place? Just like the Office of Motor Vehicles, they have a process. How come this? Again, it all boils down to if the government is going to require certain things for you to have a license, by God, there needs to be a program in place to hold people accountable to having those things. That's it. Yeah. Just like the Office of Motor Vehicles, you're not supposed to drive a car without insurance. There are people driving a car without insurance, but you're supposed to have insurance. What happens when you fail to pay your premium? Everybody's notified. Even God's notified, right? Yet people that are building homes, multi-million-dollar homes, or a couple $100,000 homes, you're supposed to trust the process. You're supposed to trust the system, and it's not there.
Ooh, Rex, mark that comment from Jerry Castellani. Once the Peters leave, we're going to address that comment right there.
I will do that. I will absolutely do that. And there was another one up there above that. I think that's what you're talking about. All right. Well, Nick and Lindsey, we appreciate y'all coming on and telling your story. We're sorry that you're having to tell this story. We wish it had a much better ending and all that, but if you would, keep us in the loop, tag us on some posts if y'all share some information on social media, and we'll be glad to keep up with the story. And maybe once something happens in the court system, we'll have you come back on and give an update on it.
Thank for having us on. And look, I know people's Facebook page are probably tired of hearing about this, but we're never going to stop. We're not going to stop until we get justice. And
let me just address that, Nick. His attorney wants me to stop talking about the case and him on Facebook, but I went ahead and let her know on Facebook, so she watches my Facebook. I'm not going to shut up, and I'm not going to stop sharing. I'm not going to stop talking about it, and I don't care what parish or state we have to go to court in. I'm going to keep talking about it until justice is served, and I'm probably going to keep talking about it after that because I'm a victim of the crime. My family's a victim of the crime. I have every right to talk about it.
Amen to that.
Salt and light. Salt and light.
Well, I don't know if we touched on this or not, and I know our time is probably up, but we didn't talk much about the change of venue motion that was filed. So they're trying to take this to another parish, and because they claim that we're well known in Bossier. That's what's in the motion.
We're not. We're nobodies.
Well, the attorney, like you said earlier, the attorneys are going to do, pretty much everything they can to delay and drag this out, and that's what defense attorneys do on behalf of their clients, whether it's right or wrong. So I've got up on the screen the screenshot of the motion for the change of venue up there. Hopefully, they won't be granted a change of venue. Hopefully, the 26 JDC up there will step up to the plate and do the right thing and get the wheels really rolling for y'all and let the DA's office do the job.
You know something. You know something, Nick and Lindsey. It doesn't matter where they take this because at the bottom line is like, look, we're all here just temporarily, and at the end of all of our days, the people that are wanting to take it somewhere else, if they're able to get something shady done somewhere else and not here, at the end of their days, they're going to pay for it. The good Lord sees all, and He's going to. I don't make a habit of telling people this, but you know what? They're going to pay for it one way or the other. It's either now or later. It don't matter.
Absolutely.
So you guys don't stress about it. Y'all, I appreciate and respect the fact that you're fighting for yourselves. You're standing up for yourselves. You're an example to the community. You're fighting. A lot of people don't fight. They just take it, they lay down, they keep quiet, their head down. You guys haven't done that. I think your attorney's wrong. I think not enough people fight for themselves, and I respect you guys for doing it. We promote that on this show. I think that's what changes our community, and you guys are an example of more of what we need. And y'all keep up the good fight, and if there's anything that we can do to help you, we will certainly put it out there and bring the look in on it.
Hey, if we can help somebody in any way, that's what we hope. That's what we hope from all of this too, is that there are lessons to be learned, and if we can help somebody else from having to go through what we've gone through, that's what we want to do. But we're going to keep fighting like hell.
Please call me.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and you have a good evening, and we appreciate y'all's time.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good evening, guys.
All right. Good evening.
Well, that was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of questions. Okay, so let's just go back to some of those questions because I want to address some of them that were coming up in there, and I want to go there a little bit. Rex, did you know that there were 2 Acadiana mortgages in Bossier City at one time?
Oh, well, I was not aware. Did y'all have a franchise?
Oh, no. In fact, there was this snake in the grass. But don't get me wrong, this snake in the grass is the biggest Bible beater in Northwest Louisiana, but moved to town and used the name and portrayed themselves as being Acadiana Mortgage in Northwest Louisiana. And in fact, there was some people that called and asked for Kara to their office. And when they called to ask for Kara at their office, they said at that new number, at that new Acadiana Mortgage, they said, "Oh, she's not here right now, but can so-and-so help you?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, they can help you." And they portrayed themselves as being Acadiana Mortgage. Well, come to find out, the Secretary of State's office accidentally made a mistake and gave a like name to somebody that portrayed themselves as being us. And we threatened to sue them, and they subsequently stopped doing business in our name. And this person, they go to church every Sunday in their church, and they beat their Bible and portray themselves to be the most Christian of somebody else, all the while they were stealing business from somebody else under a false pretense.
Well, that's just low down. That's low down, underhanded, rotten.
And they still are practicing business, doing mortgages in Bossier today, deceiving people. And a lot of you out there, you don't even know. I mean, you don't even know how dirty these people are. And they're there, and some of those realtors are referring business to them. So just like this situation with the Peters and the builders thing, you have people within your community that you think are good people that are feeding on you. They're feeding on you like a damn vampire. And I hate to say this, but it's in everything. There are lawyers that feed off of people. There's politicians that are feeding off of people. I hate to say this, but y'all have got more corrupt and crooked people around you than you know. And I had a chief one time. I had a chief one time on the fire department, and he gave me some advice. And he told me, he said, Duke, he said, question everything. Question everything. And if somebody is up, if they're right, they ain't got no problem with you questioning them. They got no problem with it. If you question, I hate to say question their integrity, but if you question their business, you question the process, you question everything, they're not going to have a problem with it. The people that are going to have the problem with it are the people that are doing corrupt things.
Well, look, let me just say this too, and I'm not defending this builder. What was this guy's name? Justin, whatever. Justin Penn, Creek Contracting. Don't know him from Adam. Look, I'm not defending him, but life happens, divorces happen, things happen that can impact your business as a contractor, as a mortgage broker, or anything can happen. But just try to do the right thing. That's where this went sideways. Because like the Peter said, apparently this guy's built some nice homes and has got satisfied customers, but it's when life happened and things went sideways, and apparently, based on what we know, he didn't finish the job and didn't do what he needed to do as a contractor to try to make it right with them, and that's where this whole thing went sideways.
But you know what? Here's the thing. There are supposed to be checks and balances all the way. If anybody, there's 100 people watching this show right now, and there's 100 people in there. I don't know what percentage of it, but there's a lot of them that have been through the process of building a home. And when you've been through that process, there's checks and balances. You're telling me that this guy's going through the process of building a home, and he can just go pull money out of the bank from these people to build this house with no checks and balances? Nobody was checking him?
Yeah, so
I'm missing something here.
Look,
okay, so look,
I don't even know where to start with this one.
Okay, let me sum it up for you.
Let me give a disclaimer first. On behalf of the Peters, they had nothing bad to say about the bank, which is why they didn't.
No, they didn't. But okay. I own a mortgage company, and I'm going to say something. I'm going to try to educate people here a little bit. I may even educate myself before this is said and done. But did y'all know that banks aren't required to have continuing education? They don't have to take tests every year to do mortgages and all that stuff. Did you know that? Why is it that they can do a mortgage, but yet they don't have to have the certifications and the qualifications? How is it that they are exempt? How is that?
That is a very good question.
What
I have nowhere even close to the answer for that.
What difference is it if you get a loan from a bank versus you get it from a straight mortgage person? But in this case, pertaining to this construction, how is it that they made a loan to do a construction and you're giving pulls to the builder, and apparently the bank didn't go and check to see that the builder was, moving along during the process, that certain thresholds were met in the construction process? What does that tell you?
Well, I mean, so look, educate everybody just real quickly, kind of how that process works. What is the check and balance? Bank loans, let's just pick a number. Bank loans, $500,000 for a home. The contractor's making draws against that money to build the house, do that. What is the check and balance there?
Well, the check and balance is that the bank should have sent somebody out there to check to see that the money that was drawn previously to do this work was done prior to issuing another draw to do the next phase of the construction. Obviously, that was not being done. So I don't care what the Peters say, or not say regarding the bank. The bank obviously dropped the ball here, and there's something not right here. There's something not right at all. I mean, the Peters, look, I hate it. They're the victim here in this whole circumstance, but something stinks to high heaven, because there's no way this guy, first off, you're telling me the bank is going to allow a builder who is not even licensed with the state to go and pull money out to do construction? The parish permitting, they didn't check it. The bank, who's got the most liability here, dishing out the money, they didn't check it. I mean, there's no checks and balances here. Zero checks and balances here to protect the Peters. None whatsoever. And that could be any freaking one of you guys out there. If you go out there and you do this loan, that could be any of y'all. I'm sorry, but and what you think you're going to fall back on the 26 JDC or the sheriff's office or your government to protect you? Hell no. Ask the Peters whether the government's got their back.
Well, not just that. I mean, let's look at it from a realistic standpoint. Even if the 26 JDC, got off their high horse and this case was done expeditiously and all that, when would the Peters get restitution? Let's say they found him guilty.
The Peters, they squeezed the Peters for everything that they put at. The Peters lost the investment that they put in the land, the improvements they put in the land. The Peters have lost all of that. All of it.
Right.
I mean, and the system squeezed that out of them. So that could be any one of y'all. You see this piece of land or you see something that you want to spend money that you have in your savings for. You spend it and then you want to improve it more. You go to a bank. The bank says, yeah, we'll loan you that money. You pay a contractor to make the improvement that you want. And then the bank says, oh, we'll give you the money that builder to do it. They don't do it. And then the bank comes to you, the person that went to get the money, and it's not done. Well, you need to pay me.
Well,
this is crazy.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely crazy. And then there's a whole conspiracy angle with this anonymous letter. Look, maybe there's something to that letter. Maybe somebody, put that letter in their mailbox to bait them to go on to social media to cause issues in the court system and cause delays. Who knows? This whole situation is beyond just a simple home deal gone bad.
Jerry says they need to sue the bank. Jerry, that's my gut as well, too. The bank has the most liability here. I agree, but the Peters, the bank knows, the DA's office knows, they all know that the Peters are I'm just going to say this, they're the peons in this thing, and that they don't have the money to fight all these people. That could be any of y'all. The system is stacked, the deck is stacked against the Peters. Everybody with a stake that's a stakeholder in this, they know that. And, it's why all of you should dot your I's and cross your T's before you make any freaking move. Don't trust. Lord, I'm going to pay for this.
All right.
Don't trust the government. Don't trust the banks because they don't have your interests in mind.
No.
You need to do your homework yourself, dot the I's, cross the T's, and if you think you're missing something, call for a second opinion for somebody else and say, what am I missing? Ask somebody.
Yeah, look,
don't assume you know everything.
The bankers are not your friends. They're only going to loan you money when they have enough collateral to feel reasonably secure in the loan and that they can make money off of it. And I'm all about making money, but bankers are not your friend. They're just not.
Okay. So
let's get to these two questions though from Miss Jerry.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I should put these up in reverse order, but I'll do it this way. All right. So Miss Jerry says there is another young family that lost their job and hard-earned money because of the local government jury. How many more? And then she said, Peters, have you contacted your local jury person for help? Well, let's just hope that their police jury person isn't a particular favorite of yours and ours, Mr.
Okay. Well, out of respect for that police jury, I'm pretty sure that he has since passed.
Okay.
And I hate that. I liked him. I did. I remember him. Bob Brotherton. I thought Bob Brotherton was a good guy. I always did. I don't.
The few times I met him and dealt with him, super nice guy.
What I loved about Bob Brotherton, I remember Bob Brotherton. He had the best blind on Lake Bistineau when Louisiana had ducks, and ducks came to Louisiana before being short-stopped by corn and Ducks Unlimited. So all you Ducks Unlimited fanatics, you guys are asshats, and you can kiss my ass. Pardon my French, everybody. That's very personal to me. He had the best blind on Lake Bistineau, killed a lot of ducks down by Peggy's Island. And great guy, football coach at Halton. I remember him when I was there. Thought a lot of him. Became a police juryman. I think he had the best interests of the parish in mind. But, here's the but. Here recently, in his later age, he was AWOL. He had been there too long. He'd gotten old, and he basically was just going along with the flow. I don't know that his contribution was all there. That and he finally passed, and just it's another example of why we need term limits. I mean, serving in government isn't meant to be a lifelong thing. And in this case, I doubt very seriously that the Peters had ever, I doubt very seriously that the Peters had ever contacted him. And, even if they had contacted him, I don't think that it would have made any difference, Rex.
Well, there's probably not anything he could have done.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, the person that represents the parish on the permitting thing failed in their job. That falls back to every police juryman, that goes from the princess, to
it's a long list. Yeah,
it's a long list.
Well, in Bob Brotherton or any police juror's slight defense, not that I defend them that much, but there's not a lot they could do except get with the permitting, whoever through the parish, assuming that it had to be permitted through the parish too, get with their permitting folks and make sure all the permits were done properly. And if they weren't, then address that. That would have been about the extent that something could have probably been done.
But here's the rub, and this is the problem, Rex. I'm going to segue into that Supreme Court case.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, your elected leaders, especially like your police jurors, like they're more concerned with limiting the rights or limiting protecting people like the Peters than they are of protecting their own rights. So, for instance, they're fighting people all the way to the Supreme Court on being able to build a house on their own property,
Right.
Versus protecting the Peters here. I mean, the resources they spent and going to the Supreme Court on the other case, I mean, what do you think they could have done to help these folks?
Yeah.
They could have done a lot.
Yeah.
Patrick Jackson, where are you? What, Patrick Jackson, why are you not helping citizens of the parish in the Peters in a case like this, but yet you're fighting and spending resources to limit citizens of the parish? Aren't you there to represent the citizens? I mean, what am I missing here?
You're missing the opium. And I don't mean opium as in the Chinese drug. I mean opium as in OPM, other people's money. So when the police jury and Patrick Jackson, and look, any elected official for that matter, are operating with other people's money, all of our taxpayers' dollars, it's just at their whim. They don't care what it costs to take a case such as the one they're taking all the way to the Supreme Court. It's nothing for them to take that case up there and just spend the money all they want and fight the McCormicks on it. We've covered this McCormick lawsuit before, and I met them and interviewed them. I'm sitting on an interview that I can't show. I've said this before because this court case is pending.
I think the McCormicks need to come on here, and I think the McCormicks, Kim and her husband, I think they need to come on here, and I think they need to talk about their case, because I think that this case and their case affects a large majority of citizens, not only in Bossier Parish, but across the state, because I think because this went to the Louisiana Supreme Court, I think it will set a precedence across the state of Louisiana that will adversely impact all of you and your rights to do whatever the hell you want to do on your property. And they really need to do that. They're probably being advised. I don't know of an attorney that would tell any of their clients to come on here and talk about stuff. Hat tip to the Peters for doing it. But they really need to. I may call Kim and ask her.
I think the difference may be in the case of the Peters right now. This is a criminal case with the DA's office against the contractor. In the case of the McCormicks, this is the McCormicks directly against Butch Ford and Bill Altimus, Jeremy Darby, and Carlotta Askew Brown as the defendants, basically, parts of the police jury. And I think that's the difference is, they've probably been advised by their attorney it's best not to say anything until the court case is over and all that blah, blah, blah.
Well, the bottom line is in all of this, it's more government. The more we have government dictating what we can and what we can't do, the more problems that we have. And, I mean, in the case of the Peters, government is wanting to dictate, but yet government doesn't do their job. Government fails to do their job. But in the case, of Kim and them, government is trying to dictate. And in that case, they're limiting them from freaking just building a house for themselves to live in.
Well, that's true.
It's ridiculous.
Hey, speaking of due diligence, let's discuss the Teal Jones case. The Teal Jones saga. Well, I guess it is a case.
More government. Y'all's taxpayer dollars. Your dollars being used to... First we were funding the Canadians. Now we're funding the Japanese.
Well,
right?
all right. So
I mean,
let
to
me
hell with the Americans. I mean, we ain't even talking Ukraine here.
let me
Canadians first, Japanese second.
let me
To
set
hell
the
with the Americans.
let me set the stage for everybody, for
Okay.
folks that are new to the
Oh.
show. All right, so we got to do a little bit of a rewind. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but folks, if when y'all get bored, go back to show 205, which we did May the 8th of last year, 2024. It was a special Wednesday evening show. It was called Bankrupt and Bossier. And your humble amateur pundits here broke the story that the Teal Jones Company had filed for bankruptcy in Canada and through the corresponding court in the U.S., which is the parent company, overall company for the sawmill, that big to do up in Plain Dealing. And
okay, wait a minute. What weren't we lying or something? Do I
well,
remember correctly that
that is a good
we were
segue.
lying?
So let me set the rest of the stage. So we broke that story, and there was silence. There was crickets from our local politicians and honestly the local news media. Maybe they didn't even know about it. But we pretty much broke the story. Well, you're right. Then all of a sudden we did show 206, the next show, about a week later, and we titled it Eating Crow. Because, well, it was a toss up whether we were going to be eating crow or our good friend Lisa Friday Johnson and all the local politicians, whether they might be eating crow. And
Look,
do you remember who had the feathers in their mouth at the end of that show, Duke?
it wasn't us, but you know, Lisa's been mad at us. She's like gone.
I know. She doesn't come on the show. She doesn't offer to bungee jump with us. I'm so
She doesn't
distraught.
talk. She doesn't even make comments in the comments anymore. She used to at least make a comment in the comments anymore. She's broke our plate.
Yeah, and we know she watches the show or has somebody
But
watch it and tell her, what's
but
going
I don't
on.
think it was over Teal Jones. It was something else. I don't remember what it was.
I
know what it was. I know what it was. It was over the bank deal. And remember the bank? Wait a minute. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Kyle Schultz. Yes.
Kyle Schultz. Yeah, she got mad about Kyle Schultz. And
Well,
because
that and the Teal Jones, all these things adding together. I mean, breakups are hard. Relationships are not easy
they
to
are.
deal with.
But you know what? After all of that, I can still say I like Lisa.
I like her too.
Lisa.
Hey, if she decided to run for mayor, I would seriously consider supporting Lisa for mayor. Lisa Friday Johnson for mayor.
And you know, I have heard that from other people that you said that.
Yeah. Hey.
I can't believe you just throw Tommy out the window. I just don't understand it.
Well,
did you know that Tommy had a fundraiser and raised almost $50,000 last night? I didn't even get a freaking invitation.
I didn't get one either. Dadgummit, Lewis Johnson, why didn't I get an invite? Tommy and I took selfies together at Kennedy's luncheon.
Why are you throwing Lewis in this? He's too busy trying to buy properties in Bossier.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, we did tease that out, too. Yeah. They're so busy.
It wouldn't have come from Lewis, but the bottom line is neither you nor I got an invitation. Now, you know what's interesting? I did hear that, some of the people that were there donating that over $50,000 to Tommy, one max check was David Montgomery, the king.
Oh, imagine that.
How is that possible?
Politics makes strange bedfellows, doesn't it?
Now, how the hell is Vince Maggio going to run against Tommy if David Montgomery's up in there writing a $2,500 check? How's that work? I don't get it.
I don't know. See there, Vince, you going along with the good old boys didn't get you anywhere, did it? You just sitting there in silence and going along with those morons got you zero.
Yeah, but look, he threw out a red herring last week, and he was like telling people, if y'all think I'm running for mayor, you can get the hell out of the store. I'm not running for mayor. But yet then this week, there's people all over Bossier City saying, what do you think Vince Maggio's chances are? Do you think he can make it?
Well, that's going to be interesting. All right, but let me get back to the Teal Jones. Let me wrap that up. And now that we've teased out the political races here, we're all over the place, folks. All right, so we followed up show 206, Eating Crow. We showed the actual bankruptcy docs.
No, we are all over the place. The reality is that our brains actually operate at that speed. but we turn it down to do this show. I'm sorry. It's the honest truth.
Yeah, you're right. It's like we tell people we're sitting on so much information that we actually haven't shared and hadn't had the time to research and share. All right, but back to all right. So we connected the
Teal
dots.
Jones. Teal
Teal
Jones.
Jones. I'm trying to follow our notes for once or
And
twice,
I'm
dude.
trying my best to screw you up.
All right. So anyway, we and how does this relate to tonight? Because I'm going back in time 9 months ago or whatever. But anyway, show 206, Eating Crow, we showed the actual bankruptcy dots and connected the dots between all these LLCs and their names, and showing that our reporting was pretty much right on par. As a matter of fact, it was so on par that the local news finally had to do some reporting on it and couldn't avoid it. And Lisa Friday Johnson herself had to share a post in the Plain Dealing Facebook group trying to counteract it. And that's okay. We understand you have a job to do, Lisa. It's not a knock on you. But I do want to show one thing and ask one question, and we're going to relate this to tonight. So let me change screens here real quick. And let's see. Let me get that out of the way.
I could so piss people off in our comments. I just, I see some of the comments and I'm like, opportunity is just, but, I'm not doing
I know.
it.
All right. So this is Lisa's post from last year, May the 10th of 2024 in the Plain Dealing Talk Facebook group. But notice at the bottom in the form
See, why
letter.
are you picking on Lisa? I thought we were
I'm
just
not
talking
picking
about
on Lisa. I've got to show
we're trying to get Lisa to engage, and then now you're bringing this up.
I'm giving her exposure to run for mayor.
Okay. Right. Okay. I got it.
Okay, but here's the question.
Along. I'm going along. Go ahead.
Here's the question. Down at the bottom of the page, I've got it highlighted. The Plain Dealing Sawmill will commence operations in the summer of 2024 and will be fully operational in the fall of 2024. Now, this is probably a form letter, that T.L. Jones sent out, a PR letter. But I got a question for everybody. And Duke, you've been going back and forth to Plain Dealing quite a bit. Does that sawmill seem to be fully operational?
Okay. I don't know what the definition of fully operational is, but what I can tell you is when I go by there going to the crawfish farm, I can tell you that I see logs turned into boards and to pallets stacked up out there. Now, do I see trucks running in and out hauling logs and boards? No, I don't. I ain't seen none.
So I'm really truly asking.
But what I do see, there's drones all over the place that have Japanese writing all over them, and I don't know what the hell they're doing, but it's weirding me out. I gotta tell you,
it's not.
I don't even want to go to Plain Dealing anymore and catch crawfish because I'm worried I'm going to turn into a Chinese or something.
All right, so why would it be Japanese? Well, folks, if you are members of the Plain Dealing Talk Facebook group, you would have seen this post a few days ago that says, pretty crappy deal. Teal Jones bought all that land to build a mill just to sell out because they lost a $100 million lawsuit in Canada, but going to sell out to a Japanese CEO, shaking my head, another foreign country, running businesses in the USA. Go figure. America. All right. It is true that the T.L. Jones Sawmill and Plain Dealing, or actually it's what's the name of that little community? Antietam? Whatever. Anyway.
Antrim.
Sorry, Antrim.
I can't believe you would be so rude to the people of Antrim. I don't recall seeing a single house there, but anyway.
I was going to say, what is there, 2 people? All right, but anyway, apparently has been sold to a Japanese company. And look, I want to say this, in both of our previous shows about the bankruptcy, we didn't come at it from, it's bankruptcy, they're going to shut the whole thing down and everybody's out of a job. A bankruptcy is a business restructuring, or can be a business restructuring. And, we hope that they come out of the bankruptcy just fine and they're able to restructure their debt and keep the jobs going and all that. So, but we do want to be clear that something's still going on up there in Plain Dealing with that sawmill that's supposedly not part of the T.L. Jones group, even though their name all the LLCs were all over the bankruptcy filings in Canada and the US, which we literally showed. So,
yeah, and now there's going to be so look, all of you in Bossier, if you want to drive a pulpwood truck or you want to drive a log truck, y'all better learn Japanese, because apparently the king and the heir to the Walter O. Bigby waterway, that's on the board down there at the Red River, or not River Waterway, the port. What y'all need to learn Japanese.
those pipeline guys.
Yeah. Bottom line is I hate to say it. I mean, it's only 100 of us here, and the bottom line is we are a pimple on a gnat's ass as far as moving this needle, but we can all tell the story. And the story is that there are a group of powerful people that are using the port to be able to make a lot of big monetary moves. And yeah, I don't know how we fix it. And this saw plant is a prime example. The people who, just like the Peters, you expect government to step up for you in certain circumstances and look out for your best interest, but they don't. In this deal, I mean, we should be having these people that are lifelong politicians and supposedly have our best interest in mind. They should be looking out for us, but yet when we say that there's a bankruptcy, they deny and say there's not a bankruptcy. And now they're probably going to say, oh, it's not, you don't need to speak Japanese. You need to speak Ukrainian, or you need to speak, I don't know, Guatemalan. Who the hell knows? But what the hell's going on? Why are these people not looking out for all of us? I mean,
it's our taxpayer dollars that have subsidized all this.
I mean, why are they not looking out for us, Rex? I don't get it. What am I missing here? And
why do you have to go to a Facebook group to find something out?
Yeah, why is that? So, the moral of the story here,
or come on a political pundit, full of amateur journalist podcast on a Tuesday night to find out information. Why?
This is just Rex and Duke here talking about this. You're not seeing this on 3, 6, or 12, the regular news. You're not hearing this from your politicians. Why is it just me and you? We're just regular guys. We're no different than the rest of y'all. But you got to come here to hear this.
Well, I don't know. I've got plenty of answers for that. We could be here literally the rest of the night with me on my soapbox about that. But look, it's what we've done for 240 plus shows now, and what we said from day one. We're going to show you the inside baseball. We're not going to ambulance chase, and we're not here to show you the flower garden. We're here to show you the train wreck. Now, occasionally, if our elected overlords, benevolent overlords, do something good, we might point it out here and there, but that's really not what we're here to do.
That's right. And, so here's the thing. We're trying to move the needle, and that starts. I've always believed, Rex, that we can make a difference, and you have to start it at the local level. And, once you correct it at the local level, you can expand it out a little bit at a time. And it takes years to do it. So,
all right.
City council races. That was where I wanted to go.
Yeah, so we teased that out and started touching on it. So I want to hear what your theory. How do you think these city council races and the mayor's race is going to go? We kind of talked about it last show. Has there been any changes?
I guess the roles have changed here, and you want to follow the notes. Is that what I'm feeling here?
I'm trying desperately to do it. I'm turning a new leaf in 2025, and it's we're playing opposites.
I know. I'm trying to become you, and you're trying to become me. What the hell is going on here?
My beard is getting a little bit grayer.
Okay, so the update for this week is, if y'all are all following the city council things, the new this week is that now Jeff Free is going to run for at-large city councilman, and Vince Maggio is back in it running for mayor against Tommy Chandler.
Wait a minute. I thought my good buddy Jeff Free was going to run for mayor. I thought we had it on. I thought we had it on good authority.
He was. We had it on good authority. He was putting the feelers out there. He was going to talking to people and all that stuff. But I think the feedback was that, Jeff, you're a damn idiot. No way you're going to be the mayor.
Okay, but look, I got a phone call last night. How would Vince do against Tommy? And look, again, full disclosure, I like Tommy, super nice guy, all that. I've been critical of Tommy for too many reasons to count, but I think Tommy gets elected against pretty much anybody pretty easily. I mean, he's got the cards stacked in his deck.
Well, wait a minute. Hold up. Somebody in the comments is talking about guidelines and what's allowable.
What?
Okay. They're saying we don't have to abide by the guidelines or what's allowable. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I misread. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Very good point, Miss Stacy Berry.
Yeah, we're there. Yeah, no. So he was like all in for mayor. Well, now the new rumor mill is that he's not in for mayor. Now he's in for at large, and Vince is back in for running for mayor. Although I can confirm, I heard that Vince was talking about throwing people out of his store last week for talking about him running for mayor. Yet, I can also confirm that multiple people this week have been out politicking for Vince and advocating for how successful a campaign for him for mayor would be, and whether or not they thought he could be successful.
Maybe he's confused about the mayor, just like he's confused about whether he's for term limits or not. Hint: he's not.
Well, the thing is I don't think he's sure about anything, and what we have learned is that he can change from one week to the next on where he stands and what he supports. I mean, you can't put your finger on where he's going to be.
All right, so Vince is going to run against Tommy. Free is moved over to at large. That's going to leave his seat with the insurance guy, Gerard.
Oh, no. Yeah, for free. Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right. But that leaves Vince's seat open. And if Vince's seat is open, I think that Creighton Cochran could run for that seat and bam, he's elected. I don't think anybody will run against him.
Interesting. Well, that would definitely shift things around because we've got Jeter's going to run for at large, right? He's he's pretty much declared.
Judas Jeter that turned his back on all the term limits people. He can say what he wants to do. He turned his back on everybody. Judas Jeter is in there. I think he's been promised something by the good old boys. And I think the play is that Free gets in the at large. I think he thinks that he can make one of the two at-larges in that race. That keeps one good old boy there. Maggio at mayor, 50-50. I think they think it's a 50-50 chance that he can beat Tommy.
I mean, I don't see it. Maybe so. But Maggio better get a ton of money behind him because Tommy has got the whole machine behind him.
But then there's a red herring of Montgomery showing up at Tommy's fundraiser and, donating a max check to Tommy. What is that, a head fake?
I don't know. This is an interesting soap opera, without a doubt. Yeah, because like I said, I got the phone call. It was 20 minutes of nonstop. Why do I think Tommy will beat Vince Maggio in a heads-up race? And I laid out my case. It's pretty simple. Tommy's got everything going in his favor. He shakes babies and kisses hands just fine, takes plenty of selfies. He's signed up for term limits. He can run on the fact that he supported term limits, and he can blame all the budgetary woes on the city council.
Now,
how's he
now
going to
there,
lose?
now there is a nasty.
And they got the first responder pay raise and the city employee pay raise, so he can run on doing that.
That's right. Now there's another nasty rumor floating around out there, and I haven't had time to try to run it down to see if it's accurate or not. But I heard there's another potential name running for at large.
You have my attention.
A previous city councilman by the name of David Jones.
Ooh, that would be interesting. You know, David Jones has not been in our comments in a long time. He used to comment frequently.
I have it on good authority that he plans to throw in the at-large race as well, too.
Well, that would make the race interesting, to say the least.
That would make the race interesting. I agree. And, you know, I have a little bit of more information, too, pertaining to you know, we were talking at the beginning of the show regarding prostitution. Oh, this one's good. But do you know who the attorney, I'm told, is or is going to be representing our good friend that's faced with these challenges?
No, I do not.
I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. It's probably not true, but I don't know. I heard that Richard Ray was going to be representing John Settle.
What? In the prostitution case?
I'm just, it's probably not right. I'm just telling you, I heard that. It was a rumor.
I wonder if Settle can defend himself pro se, since he was an attorney, but he resigned.
Well, he could probably, he could do that pro se, I guess, but he's not an attorney legally anymore. But
he wouldn't have to be if he's pro se.
But Richard Ray would carry so much weight.
Do you mean that literally?
I'm
sorry, I couldn't resist it. And look, I'm drinking water, by the way.
No, hell no, I'm not.
Sorry, Richard, I put on a few pounds too.
Oh boy, the comments are lighting up now. Yeah, I finally got y'all awake.
All right.
City Marshal, you were City Marshal.
Okay, yeah. Hold on. Let me change screens again here, and let's get some of the City Marshal stuff up. So, folks, if y'all were that thought of Richard Ray defending Settle in his prostitution case really rattled me. Well, the records aren't easily attainable. How are you going to prove that he actually was paying for it? I can just see that defense now. Oh, so many comments I could make. All right. So, if y'all weren't paying attention to today's city council meeting, there was an ordinance put forward that says, in part, whereas on November 19, 2024, the amended budget was adopted as Ordinance 120 of 24. As a result, the adjusted salary of the Chief Deputy Marshal exceeds the salary of the City Marshal, and blah, 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 statute requires blah, blah, blah. They're going to appropriate $7,300 for the salary adjustment and related benefits to the general fund. And therefore be it ordained that an annual salary adjustment in the amount of $6,000 for the City Marshal shall be retroactive to January 5 of 2025. So the City Marshal is getting a raise. And I'll remind everybody, we shared out the excellent article Jeff Sadow did on the City Marshal and the City Marshal's salary. So I would strongly encourage everybody to go read that. But just to show you, the City Marshal is currently making his salary from just the city, and if you read Sadow's article, it lays it all out. He's making $82,800 right now. That would bring him to $86,800. Actually, we'll bring him to $88,000 because it's a $6,000 deal. Anyway, let's just say it's about a 5% increase He's already bringing in, let's see, a whole lot of money. Let's see. The Legislative Auditor's Office said in their report that the Bossier City Marshal total compensation, that's total, that's compensation, benefits, other payments to the chief executive officer of the court, is already making $160,000 plus $1,000 a year.
Okay, let me just cut to the chase here. Why the hell is the marshal's office and all of their duties and responsibilities not being done by the Bossier City Police Department?
I don't know.
Why is it a separate division? I don't get it. Why not incorporate that into the Bossier City Police Department? You burnish their budget. I think they could probably do that job more efficiently, and then all the marshals people are going to be pissed off at me. But I don't get it. What am I missing here?
Well, I know it's state law. Basically, the marshals and the constables are there by statute. So I don't know if cities are forced to use marshals and have marshals.
I
know the marshal's an elected position.
I don't think it's mandatory. I think it's if they so choose. But I think the Bossier City Police Department could do the job that they're doing. And I think that would also possibly address, the monetary shortcomings of the Bossier City Police Department.
Well, it might. Because
but it ain't like we could expect the Charter Commission to correct that or to change that or to incorporate the Marshal's office into the Bossier City Police Department.
Why, no, because Vicki Whitman was on the Charter Commission. She is the wife of the city marshal. And they didn't even discuss any of that. Imagine that. So this is also part of the Legislative Auditor's report, which, again, Jeff Sadow links to in his article. But says state law authorizes city marshals to appoint deputy marshals, requires governing bodies of the city, the parish, or wherein the court is located to establish the compensation for deputy marshals. I got a question. How come the marshal's office doesn't pay its deputies out of the budget that they get from the fines and fees or whatever they collect?
Did you know, let me say this. I want to put this out there for everybody. So at one time, someone communicated something to me regarding the marshal's office. So as you know, the marshal's office does some cyber type stuff. Wait a minute. What did Jeff Sadow say?
He says, yeah, state law. It's the sheriff's office that does the same tasks.
Yeah. So I'm going to put this out there for a lot of you. And I've kept this tight to the vest, but I'm going to put it out there. So someone shared with me some information politically that said that, the marshal's office there, you need to be conscious to watch out for the marshal's office, that they have this job regarding child predators and all that gave them this technology that they could tap into phones and they could do this stuff where they could listen into conversations. They couldn't, they could only use the information that they gleaned from what they learned from tapping into the conversations for knowledge purposes, but they couldn't really take any action on it. It would just educate them. And to be careful of what I ever said on the phones or whatever or talked about, because they had that ability to do that. Without a wire or without a warrant. So I'm wondering how many of you are keying in on what I'm saying and what I'm talking about, and that the suggestion was that Bossier City government has used that for a long time to be able to prevail in politics. So if that went away, or if that went to the Bossier City Police Department, there would be a crutch that was used by the good old boy system that would go away in like overnight. Does that make any sense, Rex, or am I talking in code too much here?
No, but I would just say that tapping cell phones is not as hard as you think. I mean, there was a whole deal about AT&T literally gave an office to the NSA back in the day, and that whole ordeal. But there are plenty of apps, and not that I'm encouraging child predators or anything like that, but the problem is, say for you and I, if we want to communicate something that has been shared with us that we don't want anybody else to know about, there are ways to do that. And there are ways to do that securely and safely. The average person or the average predator or criminal is probably not going to think about that.
Yeah, but like, look, for all you asshats that are, watching that want to see us fail, I mean, you and I have had plans forever. We when we set out on this path, we set out our rules. We of how to communicate without anything that we, if it was something that was secure that we cared about, we have rules. We have ways that we make those communications known that are not to where those things can be learned. But for the regular people, these people they have the ability to get in on anything that you're transmitting unless you previously set up something like what we've done. And I'm just saying that I don't know if that would go away if the marshal's office was moved into the police department. But what I do know is the money that flows into the marshal's office, if it just flowed into the police department, I think from a budgetary standpoint, that would resolve the needs of the Bossier City Police Department overnight.
Well, I can't say that I really can argue with that. But again, I don't know, and maybe Sadow can chime in on the comments or do an article on it. Or Jeff, maybe it was in your article and I just didn't notice it. Whether we have to use the marshals. That's my question.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
I mean, can the city just say, no, we're not going to use the marshal. You can be an elected official and just do whatever. What's the deal on that?
Jerry Gaslank. So are the predators our local politicians preying on citizens because that is the media for the good old boy and insurance moguls? Strangely, black helicopters, I heard some similar statement to that effect earlier this week already.
Yeah.
But I digress.
So Alice Boyer asked, I may have put it up on the screen a few minutes ago, but she says, it would seem there would be more child predator arrests then. It's kind of strange. I don't know if any of y'all out there have been down these rabbit holes of these predators versus prey YouTube channels and Facebook channels. There's one that's actually here locally around the Ruston or Monroe, West Monroe area. And they set up these child predators and they go confront them and video it, the whole thing. And then they provide the information to law enforcement. And most of the time, law enforcement doesn't do anything about it.
Hey, I was just wondering, does anybody remember the name of the fence company that is advertising to put up fences that the phone number is paid for by the marshal's office in Bossier? Does anybody remember who that is? Because I'm needing to get a fence done, and I can't remember the name. I need the name and the phone number. If anybody remembers that, I may look it up later. But if anybody remembers it, please share with me.
We're not going to get any more city council meetings, dude.
Because I want to support.
It's the same deputy marshal.
I want to support Bossier City and the Whitmans and the marshal's office, and if I can support that fence company that's paid for by the city marshal's office. Yeah, there, Ryan Haga Crook Fence Company. Thank you, Ryan. You don't have the number, do you? If you could email it to me or send it to me, I'm going to need a fence. And
I'll have to go back and find it in our show where we talked about that. I don't even remember what show it was. Jeff Sadow says, You do have to use a city marshal, but you don't have to give them more than a small minimum salary, nor any deputies, and only pay for basics, not, for example, cyber crime units. Thank you, Mr. Sadow.
Yeah, and look, I wonder, Jeff, please comment. I mean, I'd love to get Jeff on here. Jeff may not can. He can't really do it without being planned. Jeff, comment. Do you think it would be appropriate to merge the marshal's office in with the police department from a funding standpoint to prop it up? Do you think that's plausible, or do you think that's narrow-minded thinking? I mean, look, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you say that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Well,
because I have thought of some dumb things before. Really,
you're apparently telling on yourself and didn't read his article about that, Duke, because he talked about it in the article that we did share on Bossier Watch.
Well, see, I'm busted. I've had a lot going on.
You've had a lot going on.
Yeah, she's had brain surgery, and now she thinks she knows everything because she's operating on more than half her brain. I mean, what can I say? I've had a lot to deal with. She's twice the woman she has been.
If you're not careful, you're going to be the next one in surgery when she comes up behind you with the baseball bat. And it will be live, and we'll all be alibis for Kara.
The insurance policy is in the name of my kid, so I mean, that's what it's about. Ensuring that your offspring is taken care of, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right, Mr. Lowry, anything? Well, it is... we told y'all at the beginning this was going to be an interesting show, and we were going to talk about lots of interesting subjects, and here we are. 2 hours later.
So I've gotten a message already. My phone's blowing up. Johnny White created the Child Predator Task Force. It was created for political means, portray himself as a child predator hunter. The Marshal has dollars. It's been around now for years. A confirmation of what I was saying earlier.
Interesting. Very interesting. We'll have to dig more into that. We talked about it long time ago. All right. Yeah, Jeff Soundhouse says, you never know what will happen on that crazy Duke show.
Yeah. Our dog is offering Duke a bed, and his dog...
Yeah, you're going to need one.
Oh, God. Well, everybody's blowing me up, linking me to Crook and Company Fence Company. Thank y'all all. I have the contact number for the Crook and Company Fence Company, paid for by the Bossier City Marshal's Office. Thank y'all.
Yeah, subsidized by the Bossier City Marshal's Office. Yeah.
Yeah, we think. I don't know. I ain't checked it in a while to make sure they're still paying for it. But, I mean, hell, it's Bossier City. Why not?
Yeah, why not? They pay for everything else. All right, Mr. Lauer.
Alice Boyer, term limits appeal. You know what, Alice? Listen, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, their ruling is any day. Imminent. I got to tell you, I checked it today. I suspect before Friday it will be out. And, Rex, the truth of the matter is when the Second Circuit Court of Appeals opinion is put out, probably we ought to do a special show to talk about it. My gut is, I think it's going to be hard hitting. I think, I sat in the deliberations in the Second Circuit. I think those judges, they knew what was up. They were not, in my opinion, polite to the cities, the anti-term limits people. They were not polite to him as far as questions. I think their rulings are going to be harsh. I really do. I don't know what's going to come out of this. And
I can tell you what's going to come out of it. They're going to try to appeal it on up to the Louisiana Supreme Court. Now, whether they take up the case or not is a whole other story.
Yeah, I don't think the Louisiana Supreme Court is going to take it up at all. I think they're not going to take it at all. The Second Circuit Court's opinion is going to stand, but where that's going to end up leaving us is that you, the voters of Bossier City, you're going to be faced with a March ballot that's going to give you this farce that is term limits presented to you by Judas Jeter and the Princess, Parks, and Vicky, the Marshal's wife, Whitman. It's all fake crap, and you're going to have a choice to vote for that or vote against it. And my contention is that whole charter commission thing was a farce.
Sure it was.
You ought to vote against all of it. And the only reason a charter commission was held was because they wanted to fight term limits. That's the whole reason. So the whole term limits thing and Judas Jeter, all of that, it's all bull crap. You need to vote against all of that. Right. And the next council, regardless, that's who needs to call a charter commission. And what comes out of that, they need to do it the first week. I think the first order of business, Tommy Chandler, I mean, look, you're the big baller. You raised $50,000 the other night. What the hell ever. I don't care. And Vince Maggio, I got no faith in Vince Maggio doing what's right on this deal, but whatever. I'm just speaking the truth here. The first order of business in Bossier City needs to be the calling of a new charter commission. And it needs to be a charter commission that does it right, that truly has a call to correct all of the wrongs within Bossier City, to write us a charter that will carry us into the future, promote Bossier City, provide for equality among all citizens of Bossier City, and, correct everything that's wrong. I was looking at some crap in some of the city ordinances, Rex, that are so antiquated. State law has surpassed them. I mean, it doesn't even meet the state law standards. It is so antiquated, and this past charter commission didn't even come close to touching any of that, and it's because that was not their reason for existence. Their reason for existence was to defeat the people of Bossier City and the People's Petition. So a new charter commission needs to be called right out of the gate, and it needs to be comprehensive, and it needs to overhaul Bossier City, and it needs to make Bossier City the preeminent city in the state of Louisiana. And anybody that's running for office, if they don't advocate for that, and they're not advocating for having a charter commission right out of the gate, you probably shouldn't vote for them. I mean, because they're saying, hey, but we're wanting to stay the same as we've been. They're not wanting to change things. That's the bottom line.
I can't disagree with that. Horatio Brookins Jr. says, Rex for charter president. Not no, but hell no. My job is to be. I appreciate it, but my job is to sit here and poke spears at everybody. That is my role.
And here's the thing. This ain't Republican, Democrat, Independent. This is Bossier City. This is about good government for all of Bossier. I mean, there are things we can do to correct our city, set it on the right track. We just have to get the people that have their claws in city government, that are steering government to benefit them personally. We have to steer government to where it is for solely the promotion of the city as a whole, not for any one individual, not any one individual business. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. There you
go. You tired of hearing me talk?
Oh no, I'm actually checking some text messages I'm getting. No.
Oh, hey. You're getting text messages. Well, I got to keep talking then.
We can keep going. We're nowhere near our record time, so I mean we're good as far as I'm concerned. All right, what else? Anybody else got any comments? Going once, going twice. Let me hear some comments. I think we pretty much covered most of the stuff on our list. Oh, this mysterious city engineer, I'm going to turn that into a Facebook post, so we'll not worry about that this week. I'm going to turn that into a Facebook post. That'll be a good one.
Okay, Tommy's fundraiser. Hey Vince, Tommy raised over 50,000 is what I'm told. So I don't know.
No.
One night fundraiser. Hey Rex, so you got an invitation. Why didn't you go?
Well, they must have spelled my name wrong because I didn't get the invitation. I'm so sad.
Oh, well, I didn't get an invitation either.
I mean, I've been nice to Tommy sometimes on the show, and sometimes I've said good things about him, and I've always been nice to Lewis, and Lewis is his public information officer, and I didn't get an invitation, and I'm sad.
Yeah, but Rex, I mean, the problem is Lewis has been too busy trying to acquire properties in Bossier. I mean,
That's right.
Lewis
That's right,
probably forgot to send you the invitation and me the invitation. He was too busy trying to acquire properties.
Y'all turn on that motel's water in Bossier, and I will say nice things and advocate for Tommy for mayor. I'll even put together video clips to help Tommy. All y'all got to do is turn on that damn water that you turned off, that they paid for.
What,
Lewis?
I don't know where to go with. Where is the latest on that?
I don't know.
I reluctantly say
they have no. I can tell you, as of yesterday, they still have no water from the city.
Well, how the hell are they still in business?
I don't know. Maybe they're doing bottled water and pouring buckets to flush the toilet. I don't know. I really don't. I need to go by there and check with her. She sends me a text message. She's now, because of us and our attention to that and what's going on with the city, she is now paying very close attention to city government and how it works. She always thought you could just depend on the city elected officials to do the right thing.
You mean government, like
government?
Peter.
Yeah. Everybody just does the right thing all the time. So anyway, as far as I know, or at least yesterday or day before, they still have no water. The city still hadn't turned on the water, and the city has actually closed the billing on their account, which is paid in full, by the way.
Hey, have you ever thought about, so like there's still like almost 90 people watching. Have you ever thought about trying to wear them out?
The folks watching? Well, we've tried it 3.5 hours and they were still here.
What are we at now?
We're at 2 hours and 27 minutes, and we've still got 80 something people watching, a little over 80 something, maybe 80 and a half. I don't know. Maybe some of them are asleep and they just got the show playing. So,
they may have fell asleep. They're still there. Have you ever thought about maybe we should see how long we could drag them on? How long we could talk and they would still hang in there?
The only problem with that is I'm not sure how long I can hang in there. That's the problem. Of course, if I get on my soapbox, I can hang in there a pretty good while.
Okay, so maybe we should start making up stuff. Maybe if we start making up stuff about people, you think that would keep people in here?
What could we make up? Yeah, maybe so. Sources say the city might be trying to acquire property around that new live casino over there, and they do it by extortion and cruel means such as shutting water off the businesses. Sources say, oh wait, that's actually true.
My favorite neighbor is wise beyond her years. She says, you won't make it tonight, Duke. She is so right.
I know what it is. You're trying to stay on the show because as soon as the camera goes off, your wife is going to beat the holy crap out of you for your comments earlier. I said my comments in a joking manner about having to get a pry bar to pull the staples out because she has a hard head.
That is true, but she does not have any staples holding her head together now, so she better tread lightly.
Look,
She can't even control her cat. I mean, the damn thing's about to go feral. I mean,
In a fight between you and Kara, my money's on Kara. Sorry, Duke.
yeah,
That's just the way
I know.
It's just the way it is.
She's a tough old broad. What can I say?
Yeah. All right. You want to keep dragging it out, or are we going to wrap it up? Your call.
We can wrap it.
Your call. You got 50% of the say in this.
Well, look, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, you said we're 2.5 hours.
Sure.
Okay. Let's put it. I mean, I'm in a talkative mood. There's actually things that I want to get off my chest that's been pissing me off.
Oh.
Some of it is Republican politics because there's some Republicans that I just want to rip the heart out of their freaking chest. Mm-hmm. And it pertains to election integrity and those things. But, I'm fine. We're wrapping it up. We've covered the local stuff. I mean, we could actually do a Thursday show, Louisiana Watch. We probably ought to get back into that. I mean, but
should.
If you're, and I'm saying Republican because there's Democrats care about election integrity.
Sure.
I mean, so
especially after the last race in November, now they really care about it.
Yeah, I'm being an asshat saying that it's just Republicans that want election integrity because there's Democrats that want election integrity as well too. So, the Republicans, there's a lot of Republicans that done some stupid ass crap, pardon my French, this past weekend in Baton Rouge. And I really want to talk about that a lot. I really do because I'm pretty pissed about it.
We can do it. We'll fire up a Thursday show. I'm good for it.
But
folks, y'all want to join us if we do a Thursday night Louisiana Watch?
Yeah, I don't want to do it if nobody wants to come and hear about it and talk about it. But just you need to know and you need to understand this election integrity thing. I mean, would y'all rather? And I don't care what party you're in. I mean, if you individually make a decision that you support this candidate or that candidate, does it really matter to you what anybody else does other than that what your decision is accurately recorded? Is that the most important thing to you, or is it more important to you that it's obscure, that somebody that you don't know, and you don't know the party affiliation, you don't know their connections, you don't know their reasons or whatever, is making the decision to determine the outcome of an election, or that your individual decision is recorded accurately or not? I think.
Let me give you another perspective on that. And this is one I use in the tech business a lot. Imagine a straight line. All right, just imagine a straight line, a ruler laying on the desk. At one end of the ruler is security. At the other end of the ruler or line is convenience. They will never meet in the middle. The more secure you are, the less convenient. The more convenient, the less secure. And therein lies the root of the problem. People want things to be convenient.
Well, I will summarize that down to that people are lazy.
Yes.
People don't want to do any work. They're lazy. And if it's not being lazy and not wanting to provide any effort into the process, it's something else. And that something else is there's a personal reason they don't want, a perfect resolution, or that they don't care. And I saw that this past weekend. Let's do a Thursday show and let's talk about that. Election integrity. We can do the Louisiana Watch on Thursday, and let's talk specifically about that in the Republican Party, because all of those issues were front and center in Republican politics in Baton Rouge this past weekend, and it was ugly, and it's disgusting to me.
We can do that. We can fire up the Louisiana Watch graphics, knock the cobwebs off. We'll publish it on Bossier Watch and Louisiana Watch, so y'all all get your notifications, and let's discuss it. That sounds like a grand idea.
Yep.
All right.
And outdoor news, we need to do that too because the duck
Yes.
thing is kicking off. Louisiana has, I don't know who predicted this. Maybe somebody sitting at the damn governor's,
Committee,
advisory
council thing. Yeah.
advisory committee said that things will only get worse. Well, by golly gee whiz, 2 years in a row, Louisiana has seen successive numbers of migratory waterfowl coming to Louisiana decrease again. It's almost like they had a crystal freaking ball saying that numbers would decrease again, and they did again, and nothing changes. And I think that needs to be a subject of discussion because while Missouri, Tennessee, Illinois are all raking in the dollars to the tune of billions from proceeds from short stopping migratory waterfowl, and Louisiana, who has historically wintered more waterfowl than anybody else, we're losing. And apparently in Baton Rouge, everybody down there is just fine so long as those damn geese are not shitting on the golf courses.
Nah. Well, look, we need to do a follow-up on that too. We got all kinds of stuff to talk about in 2025.
And you've been rooting all around on Caddo Lake and wanting them to take water. So if you live on Caddo Lake and you're in Caddo Parish, and
there is that controversy brewing too. I'm going to have to learn Texas open meetings laws and Texas public information requests.
Is it accurate to the point that if you like catching white perch off of your pier, that may not be the case because the water level may be too low for you to do that in the future?
Well, you're definitely going to have to adjust your cork.
See, there is more reason to follow the content that we're putting out than what you know, because we may be Rhodes Scholars of Stupidville, but we didn't just wake up yesterday.
We weren't born on the turnip truck.
That's right. All right.
Well, we'll plan on Jessica Langley Maddox probably 7 p.m. Thursday. We'll put a post out, let everybody know for sure. And hey, y'all join us Thursday night. We're glad to have all of you watching us for over 2.5 hours and 240 some odd shows talking about prostitutes and crazy scamming contractors and blah, 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 and everything else we chatter on about. And there was silence.
I got nothing.
We're out of here. Appreciate you, folks. We'll
Good night, folks.